massivest band out of Britain in the last fucking 30 years.
We were waiting for something, you know, like this, really.
It needed somebody to sort of say, yeah, out of the way, we'll take charge here. This is what you're getting. This is what it's going to be from now on.
Oasis summed up the spirit of the times, the sense that things had been crap for a very long time and that things were about to get better.
There is a positive feeling that we're going to make it. And that's one of the definite messages in the whole thing.
You know, it's being part of the band, which was the special thing, and making that difference to music, I suppose.
You know when you have grand ideas where you're going to be Slade and T-Rex and the Byrds and the Beatles and Neil Young, and you think that's a lot of grand ideas for a 17-year-old kid who's probably never been anywhere.
Everybody was thinking it would be another Creation album that would do well. You know, but you don't fucking know, do you? You know?
It was to try and get the album out to try and save a record company that was slowly going bankrupt.
It had an impact. It was nuclear, in a word.
For me, as a debut album, it's probably the second best debut album of all time.
Next to what?
Next to mine.
A particularly good debut album. You can't get better than fucking Definitely Maybe. Particularly shouldn't come into the fucking... You know what I mean? You get that, yeah? Particularly.
I think him starting with Rock and Roll Star just sets the scene for Oasis forever.
Every day you get up in the morning, you should live your life like a fucking star.
You're young and, you know, you don't have any money and you want to be in a rock and roll band.
You know, great pull-you-in sort of song, really.
Says it all, doesn't it? So I'm a rock and roll star.
I live my life in the city.
I think the first line of that song is what my plan was for me personally. Was like, I can't get out of this shithole when I've made some fucking money.
Well, rock and roll star absolutely defines them at that point in time.
It's a good move to start an album with a song like that, because there you go. This is bang. This is us. This is what it is.
I remember the first time I heard it was in a rehearsing room in the Boardwalk, I think, and he played it, and I thought, yeah, it sounds fucking great. It's like The Who a little bit towards the end, and I like the waltzy bit at the end.
It set the tone for everything, and I think that was Noel's intention.
I think Rock and Roll Star's one of the top songs on it. I've actually got a little 8-track version of that I've still kept.
You got to sing it like that's what you are, you know? And that's what anyone can be if they want to be.
Tonight I'm a rock and roll star, and every night he's a rock and roll star because he's a rock and roll star.
And he still means it, man, you know, and it comes across all that stuff.
Tonight I'm a rock and roll star, and, you know, pretty damn soon he and they were rock and roll stars.
We were in a band at the time, The Real People, still are. We were touring with the Inspirals, must have been around 92 or something. I started getting on really well with Noel. He told me that he was in a band with his brother.
One night we played in Manchester and they came to see us, and then everybody went back to our house,
Right.
to my flat, and we all sat up playing guitars till fuck knows what time in the morning.
So there was another guy there at the time, a publisher that me and Tony knew called John Bryce, and we come up to the little idea of me and Tony producing some demos for them. It ended up as this, it was the first thing that come out, but we recorded about 13 songs.
There was a demo tape that Noel gave me that I think there were only ever about 6 of these cassettes that were handed out. And on that, there were 7 songs, if I remember rightly, maybe 8.
This guy came out and went, there's a tape, and I went, no, I want to sign you. And he went, no, you should listen to the tape. And I went, OK, but I want to sign you.
How did we go about and get his deal? We didn't go out anyway. It was just one of them things. And we're lucky enough that it happened. Hurrah!
But it's very interesting listening to it. On one hand, it sounds... sometimes it sounds a bit naive sometimes, but it's so strong. It's just pure quality all the way.
Basically drawing on, all the great rock and roll music from the Beatles through to Slade, through to, the Sex Pistols.
We were thinking something's going to happen here with this. It was just the whole thing with Liam looking like a star and his attitude and all that anyway. when we were working together, we weren't saying like, if it happens. We were like, when it happens.
Yeah. Even then, at that point, I still never thought I've got the biggest group, you know, the next, you know, 5-10 years. It wasn't that kind of concept. It was more like, well, we can nick them in before a Stone Roses album, maybe sell 500,000 copies, and you know, we'll all have had a result. Do you know what I mean? You know.
It was a crossover record. Everybody liked it. It was Radio 2 all day long, with some very menacing lyrics underneath.
It's psychedelic in places, bit of a wobble going on. I like it. It's all right.
It was a fantastic live favourite. There's no question of that.
I was surprised it did better than Supersonic in a way.
The sheer gall, even of, you know, ripping off the Coca-Cola song.
Genius, I think. I mean, it's 12-bar blues, isn't it?
Funnily enough, it sounds like when you hear Supersonic and that together, and they were the first two singles, that... Oh, hang on a minute, it's some lunatic who's just writing random nonsense about plasticine and fucking, you know, traffic lights and, you know, My Friend Mr. Soft and all that. And most of that stuff about traffic lights and My Friend Mr. Soft are all from adverts. And Shaker Maker is a toy from the 70s that I used to have, a Shaker Maker.
Shaker Maker was a piece of piss. It was kind of their best recording. The only thing we did on that was change that verse on the mastering.
Shaker Maker to me just reminds me of the Coca-Cola song, because obviously that's the version they always used to sing.
The only thing that's not on the original album is the verse with Coca-Cola in it. Luckily enough, we had an instrumental mix. And me and Liam had to go to Johnny Marr's studio in Manchester. And this is the fucking God's honest truth. Me and Liam were driving in the back of somebody's Cortina or something on the way to the studio, and Liam said, have you got a last verse? And I didn't have anything, not fucking one word did I have. And I said, no. And he said, well, what are we going to sing? We'll get that. I said, don't worry about it, man. You know, don't worry about it. And we passed Sifters and we stopped at the traffic lights outside. And just fucking sat in the back and wrote it in the head. And then Liam went into Johnny's studio, sung it, took about, I don't know, 10 minutes. And that was that. But it seems like I didn't spend much time writing any fucking lyrics at the time.
No.
It was described at the time that this is a piss take, surely, somebody said in one of the magazines. Which, of course, it was.
Just the fact that at the end he sounds like he's going, shake along with me, shake along with them.
There was no thought of getting a record deal. You know, it was just songs to play when we were doing the boardwalk on a Tuesday night, which is probably why it sounds so free and easy, do you know what I mean? It just flows, you know, all the chords just flow out of each other. You know, like rock and roll star, I'm gonna be rock and roll star, I want to live forever. You know, cigarettes and alcohol, all things like that we were saying for the very first time. And I still hold all those dreams and aspirations to this day.
I think he had 50 songs when he met me, and he used to lie, and he used to tell me that he'd just written one on the train. And I think the guy had been writing for about 5 years before he met me, and he had about 50 songs, and he had the first 2 albums.
I haven't seen your face round since I was a kid. You're bringing back those memories of the things that we did.
He worked in gas board, I think, and he worked in like where they went for parts, and he was dishing bits out and signing things in and out and that. And he used to have his guitar in there, and he said he used to just write songs while they were in there. So I reckon he had a lot of songs wrote.
I wasn't trying to impress anybody with my lyrical prowess, you know. I didn't give a fuck about that. And I wasn't trying to make a point, and I wasn't trying to build myself a platform where I could go and preach to the nation about this, that and the other. I was writing about things that were true to me, and it's about shagging, drinking and taking drugs.
In no way, I think, is he, certainly on this record, is he attempting to conceal where, you know, the sources of his inspiration. It's quite transparent.
You can give me the dreams that are mine anyway.
You could probably take the most original bands of their time, and, you know, they're only playing what they've heard in their record collections. All right, they might have a more eclectic record collection than you had, but my record collection consisted of the Beatles, the Stones, T-Rex, David Bowie, and lots of great sticks, and that's what I used to listen to. I'm fucking arsed about fucking extra tracks on a fucking Pink Floyd bootleg from 1972. Give a shit, man. You know, I'd rather fucking listen to I'm the Walrus 20 times in a row.
I think we were out with the Spiral Carpets, and I was just buying, you got the truck stops in America, and you get, just buying cassettes for 50 cents and what have you. And I got a Bee Gees compilation that I think it was something like 69 through 71 or something, and it was just amazing. I'd never heard anything like it.
I'd never heard the early Bee Gees stuff, and no one was like, oh, you've got to get that Yellow album, the Yellow greatest hits with all the stuff like Massachusetts and the 60s Bee Gees stuff, which is really, really good.
No disrespect to Radiohead and all this intellectualised music, it's just like, poof, immediate, 3-chord, bridge, chorus. People don't want to get the logarithm tables out when it comes to music. They want something that's right in your face, right at you. And that was, and they fulfilled all criteria on that one,
I think that's what rock and roll is. I mean, it's not reinventing the wheel, and it's not art school rock, and you leave that to other bands who are really good at doing that, and bless them, a lot of them are British, and let them get on with it.
The signature tune of Definitely Maybe for me is probably Live Forever. I mean, it's still my favourite Oasis tune, and it always was in the beginning anyway.
After Supersonic and Shaker Maker, it was the one where people went, actually, there's fucking something here, you can't argue with that.
It's there.
Noel's arrangements and structures are fucking pop-tastic, it's fucking like ABBA or something, he's Beatles fanatic, isn't he? They're perfect, like, fucking 16-bar intros and all that, and perfect arrangements.
Live Forever is the most famous track, and to use an industry well-worn term, it's probably the most crossover track on the album.
For me, that song could keep going, it's like, keep going, don't stop. Keep getting bigger till it's just out there,
Maybe I don't really want to know.
I think from Liam or something, shouldn't it be Baby? Like, no, it shouldn't be Baby, Maybe. That sounds fucking stupid. I'm like that, but I'm not writing any tunes with Baby and Baby.
It's actually one of my favourites, actually. I don't know what it means to me.
Very rarely get, sort of a great chord sequence with a great melody over the top with really, really great words. And when those three aspects come together, in the way that they do on a song like Live Forever, it's just a great moment, and it happens on that song,
When I first heard the album version, I didn't like it because I'd had a demo, and the demo had a bit of a different start. It started with an acoustic guitar instead of the drums, and I'd really got into that version.
I think Owen just chopped all that out and just had it starting with the drums. It's just come straight in with the Maybe.
And all I remember doing is fucking cutting out the second half of Noel's guitar solo, which really upset him, because I thought it was a bit like fucking Slash from Guns N' Roses.
The most important line of that song is we see things that they'll never see, and that when you've got two childhood friends, you know what I mean? You get the jokes that nobody else gets. It makes me feel quite proud when you see these lists, 500 greatest songs of all time or 1,000 greatest songs of all time, and it's always in there. It's always in the top 10. You know what really fucks me off and annoys me about all that stuff is I'd be writing these songs and I'd have the lyrics written down and I'd go and demo them and I'd screw them up, throw them in the fucking bin, and then you put them in the bin and they'd be gone, and I was sitting there thinking, if I had the fucking words, the original unwritten lyrics for Live Forever. You haven't forgotten, have you?
I've got everything.
Oh, you bet you fucking have.
You know I have.
Fucking fortune. You have got them, haven't you?
Oh, I threw it all away, mate.
You're a lying cunt.
5 box files like that, full of everything.
We've done the album. It took us 3 times to do the album because it weren't right. We've got people mixing it. We've got a producer there who's produced the Kinks and that. They weren't right for us, you know what I mean, like that day. So we went and spent loads of money. Decided he weren't right, sacked him. Got another engineer in. He was all right, he really couldn't mix it and that, you know what I mean? So we sacked that cunt, and then we had to do it like 3 times, spent a lot of money on it, but it was right, because we wanted it right.
Looking back on it, I think it was probably a lack of live performance that hampered them sessions. And we were there for a while. I think we were there. We must have been there for 3 weeks or something.
So I was a bit like, well, I'm scared, but I'm not scared to the point of I won't write a check.
5 lads again, down to a studio. You got a couple of weeks in there, big studio, river running through it. So, it's amazing. Gonna sound great, and it didn't.
Didn't work out. It was pretty good, but it wasn't like hitting the ceiling in terms of everyone's expectations. I wasn't there much in the studio. I don't like hanging out in studios because there's not a lot you can do there as a manager. So I just kind of visit like once a week or something and check and see if everything's okay. They knew that they were very confident about how good the songs were and how good they were. And quite interesting, the Stone Roses were about a mile down the road in Rockfield, which is the other studio in that area. So they began to, bond a little bit with some of the guys out of the Roses when they had some spare time.
Yeah, well, it was like probably 2 in the morning or something, and someone's going, they're going to have booze down there, definitely. So, and we was on mushrooms as well. We'd had a bit of a boil up. So I managed to get the tractor going, tripping my tits off, and proceeded in an easterly direction down to Mono Valley. Got there, I think everyone was in bed. So then went skulking round people's rooms while they were asleep. And I think I've spotted a big nugget of hashish by the side of somebody's bed. And I think I was reaching over to grab it. And they were like, I was just petrified because I think I'd give them this ghost story thing a few days earlier about the ghost of Mono Valley and stuff.
In Mono Valley, I think they found it a bit weird because there was separate areas. The way the producer wanted to do it was say, like, the drums go in that room or behind that screen, the bass go over there, and that kind of thing, which I think weirded them out a little bit.
There was no live music going on. It was all, it'd be, drums, then bass, then guitar, and it wasn't what anybody was used to.
I remember being in this big old sort of churchy kind of a hallway thing, big ceiling going on and all that, and I couldn't see any of the band, and we were separated, and there was something that wasn't quite happening.
I actually thought when we was in Mono Valley that it sounded all right, but of course I'd never actually heard the band live because we were always on stage, and he was going, it's just not right, And Alan McGee was going, it doesn't sound like you lot. So we were sort of taking their word for it, really.
The deliveries was all good. It was just the way it was. I think it was just the actual vibe of the thing and the way it sounded. It just sounded soft. It didn't sound. There was no edge to it.
It was a good couple of weeks before it was decided we were going to scrap it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because we were in with Dave first, weren't we? We'd started mixing with Dave.
Did we? Right.
Yeah, and then Angelique came as like I say, it's sort of like the safe option from creation, wasn't it?
And they said, that's it. We're going to make a big decision here. We're going to scrap everything. We're going to start again.
Your music's coming out of a speaker which is the size of your fucking house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to sound great.
Yeah.
Even Frank Zappa. and you're like, you stood there and you go, wow, man, it's just fucking monumental. And everyone's going, yeah, great. And then when you stick it in the car, you just go, actually, it sounds fucking rubbish when it's coming out there, doesn't it?
So I've got a version at home. It was terribly, terribly dry, and it was nice. I mean, some people I played it to at the time preferred it. I don't think it would have been the hit album it is now. But in a way, because it was a little bit more understated, it was much drier.
Wasn't in any way representative of what they were at that time.
I think a lot of it was more with Noel, sort of Marcus, Alan McGee, just panic stations, listening back to monitor mixes, just going, this ain't happening.
After a couple of weeks of deliberations, they decided to basically start it all again.
I'll always respect McGee for that. He just said, look, fucking go and do it again. And we were like, you sure? He was like, just go and do it again because you've got to get it right.
And it was at that meeting that it was decided that I was going to co-produce the record with the band. Well, I take that back, actually, co-produce it with Noel.
Well, the whole thing of when you're inside, it's a bit like Rain, and it's a bit like Peter Wright from that 66 period, the Beatles, 65, 66, which we listened to fucking shitload.
Thrashed it.
Revolver, fucking hell, man. We listen to that record all day and all night, every day and every night. Scouse cunts.
If you ever listen to Up in the Sky, the old mix of that was far more psychedelic. That was the one with the backwards guitars.
I don't think there's any way to say this without sounding like a twat, so I'll just say it anyway, and I can edit it out anyway. Or overdub someone else's voice on it. Or superimpose our kid's head on top of mine while I say it. But it's actually about, I wouldn't say it's an anti-establishment song, but it's about people, because we were all on the dole at the time and under Conservative rule and that. And it was about establishment figures who didn't really have a clue about how people were living in England at that time and what people had done to the country, you know. And it was, yeah, and it was quite an angry song to quite a happy tune. It was cheap and it was out of the way and it's only accessible via a boat.
They didn't tell me that you had to put the gear on a boat to get it there. It were like they'd kept that one as a surprise. And even when I phoned the guy and go like, because don't come any later than 4 o'clock, and I'm going like, well, you know, maybe it's because it's getting dark or something like that, you know.
Of course, when somebody says, oh, it's fucking great, this boat comes and picks you up, you know, and you go, fantastic, we to the fucking studio by a boat. And of course, this boat's about the size of this fucking chair, and there's some bloke on the back with a little engine.
This little boat chugs round to the pier. Hiya, have you got the gear then?
If you want to go for a pint, then you've got to get the guy who runs the studio to get you in his little motorboat and put you across the lake, drop you off. There's a boozer right on the other side, so you dive off, you go for a pint. And he'd say, you know, you better be ready for sort of 10:30 for me to pick you up. We're like, oh, come on, you know, 11 o'clock, last order's not. You're like, no, it's a tide thing. If you're not ready by 10:30, then you ain't getting back.
So it kind of curtailed the partying aspect of it a bit because it was difficult. You had to look at tide charts and things like that, you know.
I just remember being Griggs with his bass amp, fucking freezing, middle of January, wind blowing, as the tide's going down and like the mud's coming up this thing, and we're going, this is not fucking like it was in the film. Elvis, I bet Bono never had to fucking do this.
And they were quite funny. They were just like boys that had gone to camp or something for the first time.
Yeah, it was like an holiday for us. Just some getting out of the house, you know what I mean? That was it.
Can I have bangers and mash for my tea, please? That's what they were like, you know, and where's the jelly? And I thought I was on a school trip, to be honest.
It wasn't palatial, no. It was all pretty cramped in and no frills, you know. Tiny room with a pool table, TV room, and that was it, you know.
I slept in a sleeping bag by the table football thing, I think. Or by the pool table, I'm not quite sure. We were all very real, you know what I mean? No hotels and all that bobbins, you know.
It was just done really, really quickly. And we weren't up all night. There was none of that going on.
They were doing drugs. They weren't doing as much drugs. I've got no idea how bad the drugs got. But they were just funny. They were very, very funny and they were very refreshing.
I remember getting on a boat and going to the studio. Can't remember anything else. Don't even remember coming back.
You know, we were finishing sort of 11ish at night. We were in bed at 12. Up with the alarm calling, playing the guitar on 10. Or the guitar or the bass.
And we just hit the ground running. And
Yeah,
I think because we'd done the album once already, we'd worked out all the parts. And we had it going on pretty much straight away, didn't we?
Absolutely. First day, we're recording straight away. But we set it up in a way that we understood. We just set it up like a rehearsal room or, you know, or like a gig. We didn't use any posh microphones or anything.
We didn't have any
No
headphones.
headphones.
No headphones.
Just the fact that, you know, each and every one of you were in that room, you could see each other, a lot of eye contact. It was what we always did, playing a room together.
And it was always made clear that there was supposed to be leakage. You know, like if you took an instrument out, you'd still hear it. And this was part of the philosophy. You know, this was not to be taken away.
Liam was down the end of the room, behind a glass door.
Drums in the middle.
I fucking love that, because it looked like he was in prison. He'd be there with his headphones on and he'd be shouting and he'd be like, I can't fucking hear you. Get on that, I can't hear you. And he was just singing there, and then we'd stop, and then we'd either get the thumbs up, and then we'd go, Liam, did you get it? And he'd pretty much, it was like 1 or 2 takes, and it was all there, wasn't it?
Once you got him going, off you'd go. You'd go take 1, take 2, take 3, and you'd just keep singing. So always in tune, never out of tune.
It wasn't much more than a week, 5 days. It was fast. You know, we did work quite hard. Much more comfortable place to work with, and it worked.
You know, we were having problems mixing it as well, and we tried tracks and it just wasn't quite working, and in the end it went to Owen Morris, and he mixed it, and then it came to life again.
You could tell the lyrics are written in Liverpool. It's very Scouse to say, there we were, but now here we are.
I love Colombia. It's awesome.
It's all this confusion, not the same to me.
It was always my favourite song to play live. Always.
I just like it because it's got a bit of a groove in it as well.
And they don't change. It just keeps going. 3 chords, it's just grooving along.
We were staying at the Columbia Hotel a lot. We used to come down to London before we got bars. And that was it. We'll call that tune Columbia.
No one can say, oh, it sounds like the Beatles or it sounds like the Stones or stuff. To me, it's Oasis, you know?
Columbia was a demo off the original demo tape. And we'd stuck that out, and Radio 1 had played that about 20 times.
When I first heard his vocal take and that, it's like, jeez, you know, if I had hair, it'd been up there.
We just play it for about a minute before we come on, and then Liam would walk on and make his dramatic entrance, like Nosferatu. It's one man clapping at the back. He'd go like that. Ian Brown! Ian Brown!
It was an instrumental. And we were going to keep it instrumental, and then we wrote some words for it. And then there you go.
We were at the Real People studio in Liverpool, and somebody went, as somebody always does, hey la, you want to write some fucking words for that?
The version of Columbia sounds exactly like some of the 8-track versions, so I'm not sure whether they took some of the 8-track version and put it onto 24-track and embellished on it. I'm not really sure.
All I remember about the night is there was a lot of acid taken. Everyone was tripping, weren't they?
They were, yeah. He was just playing all the way fucking through, just riffing all the way through without any fucking sense of arrangements or construction or things like that. Tons of ideas, obviously fucking loads of ideas, but, you know, no fucking sense of how to make a record.
Everyone was tripping in the studio. We'd done the demo that subsequently ended up getting about 50 plays on fucking Radio 1, all cabbaged beyond fucking belief. We were sent to Liverpool by Creation to do some demos, and for whatever reason, the stuff that we were doing, it wasn't really happening. Bring It On Down was going to be our first. Alan McGee wanted it to be our first single, and we come here to do that, and we couldn't get. Funnily enough, we couldn't get the drumming right. Somebody said, "Well, why don't you just go and write one?"
What I remember from that day is Noel being really busy, sat in the corner, just sort of scribbling away and strumming and he was writing these lyrics, and which is what he did, you know. It's like, all right, Noel's doing that. Next thing is like, right in the room, come on, check this out.
The lyrics were written in one go, and it took no more than half an hour to write. I would have.
Yeah, it's very fast, right?
I would play it through on acoustic guitar, and everybody would I think Bonehead and Griggs would then start writing the chords down, because I don't know what chords are. I was just lent there, and I just wrote the first things that came into my head.
Just went. There you fucking go, super.
Do that, change that, right? Press record, let's go, and we did it, and it was done in the day.
It was back in those days where you just went, fuck it, yeah. So I went in the back and wrote the song, and then we just said, well, if we don't get anything to show creation, well, at least we've gone down rule. You know, we've got a new tune. At least they won't think we're a bunch of chancers.
And the version that they demoed that day is the version. They've never re-recorded it ever. It, you know, it costs like 200 quid to record it.
The version of it was so fucking good, man, that you know, why try and recreate genius? We left here that night and listened to it in the car on the way home about 20 times. I was like, fucking hell, man, that sounds mega.
Coyley went, yeah, get on this song. They've just done this today and put it on it. That was the moment we both went, it's got to be unstoppable now.
It's great because it's just too slow. And I like that. That was one of the things that got me about it all. It all just seemed a little bit like you're trying to walk through the swimming pool.
I want to be myself, don't want to be no one else. There you go, statement of intent. Great attitude.
I think the lyrics are pretty funny. I like all the lyrics about the dog, isn't it?
Sosa was actually a big massive Rottweiler who farted terribly.
A fat dog, disgraceful farts all day long, sat under the desk, intimidating everyone in the room.
And he had a BMW, can arrive with you and your BMW and stuff like that. It was.
What was you drinking? Gin and tonics at the time. Must have been going through
That was your fault.
No, it was my fault. No, it must have been going through one of my effeminate phases.
Yeah.
I think a couple of days later we were doing a session in Maida Vale, and Alan McGee turned up, and he was like, "Well, come on, let's hear this song that you've recorded. You know, first single and all that. I've not even heard it. It's supersonic. What's that?" I remember playing it through the speakers in Maida Vale, just blew his head up.
It's still probably my favourite Oasis song out of them all. For that reason, really, that because we didn't invest a lot of time in it, neither mixing it, writing it, or fucking playing it. When we went up to McGee's flat that night, and we'd been mixing Columbia for about, I think it was about the 100th mix, and we got there, and before we pressed play on the tape recorder, we said, before we start, this is the fucking bollocks. Wait till you hear this, and if you don't fucking like this, me and him are washing our hands of the album, and you're gonna have to get somebody else to mix it. And it come on, and we sat there, and the minute it fucking come on, the pair of us just went, it sounds fucking awful. It was fucking rubbish, and of course McGee's like, we're gonna have to get someone else to mix it.
Well, I'd met Noel about a year before with Johnny Marr, 'cause I was working for Johnny Marr, and I just thought he was some scrawny fucking drug dealer, really, and I didn't take him seriously at all. And we'd heard about this cocky fucking kid who thought he could sing like John Lennon and fucking John Lydon. Turned out to be Liam, of course. And I saw them at the Borderline. Was it the Borderline? Something like that? Boardwalk.
They were kind of ramshackle, but really together. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like almost skiffly in a funny way.
Well, I just turned up in Loco Studios in Wales. We did a weekend. We did Rock and Roll Star in Columbia first. And Liam had to sing Rock and Roll Star. I don't think there was a vocal on it. So he sang that just straight off, a couple of takes. Told him he sounded like John Lennon, so he thought I was fucking great, you know.
John Lennon and John Lydon are the best vocalists, and if I'm in somewhere in between, I'll be very happy, man.
And he was happy, Noel did a bit of singing on it, and I just mixed it.
The first factor of Definitely Maybe that should be acknowledged is Owen Morris really was, like, he took the record and he really did give it an aggression.
Most of the mixing was out of necessity, all the ultra compression, so you just get a sort of wall of noise.
He knew how to mix records. I mean, he'd made a lot of records anyway. We just didn't basically know what we were doing. So we got passed off to Owen, and he finished it off just like that, dead fast.
We were out touring, and we would be in the back of the van, and the cassettes would turn up by courier from like our office, and it'd be mixed a slide away, and we'd all stick it on. And it's the only time we've actually given something away to mix and not been involved in any of the mixing. And he sent it back, and we were just going, "Fucking, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Who is he?" You know. Subsequently found out his Welsh was a bit of a disappointment, but you know. The way that the album sounds like it does is because I think that we were trying to mix it, and of course we were trying to get everything that we'd recorded into the mix somewhere, and it wasn't quite sounding right. So of course Owen had never seen the band, so we sent it to Owen to mix, and he just took all the best ones. And when it came back, we were just going, oh, well, there you fucking go, you see.
And he just made sure that that everything was there somewhere.
Well, I remember him phoning up Marcus and saying, there's one song here, it's got 17 guitar solos on it, all going on at the same time. And Marcus was phoning me going, which one of these is the one? I was fucking all of them. What's all about, man? I'm all in.
Mastering it, I was the first cunt. I'll take this credit on this to do something called brick walling mastering, where there was a new box out at the time, and I was the first person to make CDs be fucking on the red line constantly. There are no dynamics. There are no, like, it's just full on all the fucking way.
If he's now creating his own method called the brick wall method, I'd love him to explain that on camera to me and the fucking box, the brick wall box, because if they're for sale, then I would like one.
It worked in fucking jukeboxes around the country, man, for that first fucking year. Oasis came on louder than everybody else, and it was fucking fantastic.
Punk rock, isn't it?
You know, how it would have gone maybe is that I had the riff and it sounded like the Sex Pistols. I mean, you couldn't really write a love song over the top of that, could you? It's got to be fucking having it, hasn't it? The underclassers made me thinking about us, really. You know, being on the dole and all that.
That has a meaning for me because I just thought it was fantastic. It's what I've been waiting to hear for a long time, and obviously lots of other people had as well.
I don't think that's directed at one particular person. I say, if it is, it's probably a person that everybody else knows, you know, the uninvited guest who stays till the end. The weirdest line in that is his fucking head's in a fish tank. I'll tell you what I do love about that song is Owen got probably fucking one of the mentalist drum sounds ever put on a record, man. Them toms at the beginning are just fucking outrageous.
I honestly don't remember doing that. Well, I did it, but I don't remember a fucking thing about it.
Basically, what had happened is the drummer, as we all know now, could not play then. Well, it's like he couldn't play, but he couldn't keep time, which is a bit of an essential function with the drummer.
We couldn't get Bring It On Down. We didn't get that at Sawmills. We went to Eden Studio in Chiswick to do that. It was the last track to do. It was the only one we had to nail, and we couldn't get it. And we actually hired another drummer for the afternoon to do it.
I've been telling or asking Tony for, he's got to be fucking getting on 2 years. It goes like this. And then, of course, when this drummer comes down and he's playing it, and Tony sort of stood there. And it must have been awful for him, but, you know. And then the other guy couldn't get it.
I remember Bonehead coming into me, then he said something which wound me up. And he said, right, come on, he'd done it on purpose. And I went in and done the taking one.
He fucking jumped us on the drum kit and he goes, oh, you mean like this? And at that point I was like, you'll be on the fucking dole by Christmas, you will, you fucking blagging little cunt.
I knew that Tony McCarroll, bless him, was not Buddy Rich. You know, I knew the guy wasn't the greatest drum person to ever pick up two sticks. But it didn't matter, because he was exactly right for those songs.
He had to go when he had to go, because he could never have made the second record.
The punkiness of Tony McCarroll really did help that album, do you know what I mean? You know, because it was like, it was kind of like Mo Tucker drumming, almost, right? It was real tom-tom drumming, do you know what I mean? You know,
I do feel sorry for him in a way, but then again, why feel sorry for somebody who's earned more than his quid out of playing on one of the greatest fucking albums of all time? So he obviously had a laugh. It's not done him no harm. At the end of the day, he's Tony McCarroll, ex of Oasis. And not a lot of people will be able to say that.
Well, it starts with a load of hiss.
It was the only one I didn't use automation and didn't have to do lots of arrangements as well.
In fact, it's double-tracked hiss, I think, on that.
So I just pressed fucking play, and all the tape compression and all the fucking compression just created all that fucking noise and stuff. I can't remember it happening at the time. I think we were a bit pissed and stoned, me and Marcus.
Alan McGee went mental for that when he heard it. He was just going, that is the best social comment anybody's made in 20 years of music.
I mean, there aren't many Oasis songs with any sort of subconscious or otherwise elements of political dissent in there, but that was definitely one of them.
Is it worth the aggravation to find yourself a job when there's nothing worth working for?
That spoke to me as a aged has-been, let alone a sort of 16-year-old living in a council estate in Manchester.
England was in the fucking toilet, man. It was a horrible place to be.
Just personified what a lot of kids were feeling and thinking at that time.
Tune.
The only band to get a record in the top 10 that advocates cocaine use. And it fucking amazes me how we fucking snuck that past Radio 1.
Only me and Marcus there in the mixing, which was fucking great as well. No band members around. No egos, do what you want, you know, turn Bowen it up rather than fucking Noel and all this sort of stuff, you know.
I like ad-libs and bits that people think, what's that fucking noise? And there's lots of stuff like that on subsequent albums. I don't think there's much of that on Definitely Maybe, apart from the hiss that Owen left on. Did Owen tell you he invented hiss? We were sort of bracing ourselves for a number fucking 35 or something. It went higher in than Live Forever. And I think at that point it was decided that we should fucking strap in the seatbelts. He's gonna get fucking wild from here on in.
I think it was too Mark Bolan for me. And it got even more outrageous, I think, by the time it was mixed. It was just kind of boring to me.
I wouldn't write a song like Cigarettes and Alcohol now, because I think, well, you can't be ripping off T-Rex, man. It's fucking bang out of order, you know. Whereas then it was like, well, no one's ever going to fucking hear it anyway.
Yeah,
what, like 20 people at the boardwalk, you know?
There was
you're
no
go,
prejudice in the writing at all, was there, at that time?
No. I suppose if there is an influence on the lyric writing around that time, it was the sheer nonsense of I'm the Walrus, you know, because we used to, that was a very fucking big song of ours. Obviously, we play it live and still do. And even though John Lennon's got this in his later days, in his solo stuff, he was quite confessional, you know, mother and all that, mother. But in the Beatles, it was all, you know, what the fuck were they singing about? Obla-dee, obla-da?
Yeah.
Write an entirely original song, it's not, you know, it's not easy. It's like, do anything, give me a guitar and I'll start strumming D, A and E, and already I've written Peggy Sue or Lola, the Kinks, you know, classics. It's like, well, it's not easy to write a totally original song. There's only that many chords you can do. Put them in any sequence and you can hum something over.
What Noel did, I think, was actually not trying to be too clever about it. And in so doing, he was actually being pretty damn smart, really. It's like, say, okay, yeah, I took it from there, I took that bit from there, and then I put them all together and made this. And this is brilliant, and you can't deny it.
I think he's had a real hard time on that, because the same finger could be pointed at, you know, dozens of other bands and songwriters. The difference is they're not successful, and Noel is.
I've been called up a few times by the lawyers at Sony and been played stuff by other bands, big charts, you know, and they've said, well, we'd have a case here. And I was like, I'm not going to sue anybody, you know. A few people have sued me, and that's, you know, that's bad karma on their behalf, but I wouldn't phone up somebody and say, you know, you've ripped off my song.
Precious few other people in the modern rock and roll age who were as honest in that sense as Noel was, and one of the few others was Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, because that's exactly how he did it as well.
I'll sing anything fucking live at any time except for Dixie's Dinner.
It's crap, I'm a pine chip man.
It's rubbish. and Noel knows it is, and that's the reason it's on the album.
It's felt right, I'd go round to yours for tea and we'll have lasagna. Let's have it. And he did it.
Fucking diddly Digsy dairy.
I don't like that. I've never had, I fucking ate the meal.
He was once described to me as, you meet him, it's like opening a bag of monkeys.
Weird. I love you. Oh, I get that man about him.
And that's exactly what he's like.
He's a funny fella.
It's chaos.
I'm just there to fucking take the drugs and fucking drink all that ale.
Brilliant.
He's a
Brilliant
fabulous
songwriter.
singer, songwriter, amazing.
But he sings these songs with possibly the most offensive, vicious lyrics about kids and women and fucking his mates and his next door mate. He fucking hates everybody.
So one night, fucking we're off our cakes, fucking nose on drums. So I'm just singing here, guess what I had for my tea, guess what I had for my tea. It was lasagna! And we're just going off our cake, Noel's laughing. Quicky's on bass, Noel's laughing his tits off.
It was lasagna, it was lasagna, lasagna. He's screaming lasagna for ages and I'm flailing about on the fucking drums.
Noel goes, what's that tune, you fucking bad lasagna? Do I know?
Went away and wrote, you know, I died the tune.
Noel goes, I've got this tune, fucking, it's got lasagna in it, can I call it Dixie's Dinner? Go on, son.
And he was fucking very, very upset at it.
I think it's the worst song Oasis have ever written. I fucking hate it with a vengeance.
And he wrote one called Noel's Nose or something, didn't he? Childish.
You know that song, right? It's bought me many rounds. It's got me drunk in so many places. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're Dixie. Oh, yeah, I get that.
It's got one line in it though that for me just makes the whole song. These could be the best days of our lives.
Yeah.
No matter what you think about the song, maybe a bit quirky or a little piano solo.
Oh, there's a piano in it, yeah.
It's just all white away with that one line is the song for me.
I remember reading in the Japanese version of the CD. They have the lyrics printed in Japanese and they have it in their interpretation of them in English. It's what's in for Digsy's Dinner. Fucking stunning. No, I said, God, who is Digsy? I was like, do you know what? It's a question he fucking asks himself every morning when he gets up.
Oh, it's Dixie, lasagna. Fuck off.
For me personally, it's Liam's voice. That's the Oasis sound. You know, anyone can crank up the guitars and sound like, wow, you sound big. But without the right voice behind you, then you're not going to sound that big.
The whole thing about Oasis is when we very first seen him, as I said before, on the first gig he had sunglasses on. When I first met him, he had the same walk. With me, Liam's always been a real deal.
I mean, the lasting impression I had, I guess, of that first gig was Liam, because they were crowded onto this really small stage, and logically, the singer stands at the front, and even if Liam had been standing at the back, he would have been the person that you looked at.
He's a total pro when it comes to singing. He's probably not a total pro about getting himself there or anything like that, but once he goes very well.
He has a very Mancunian sort of delivery, which at the time, the bands that were coming out of Manchester, they weren't singing in, fake American accents and, put on accents. The singers used to sing as they talked.
He was 20, 21 years old and he'd never had a proper job in his life, do you know what I mean, for what I can know of it anyway.
I just feel the fucking bollocks, man, Every time I fucking sing, I feel fucking really good.
He was very characteristic and distinctive from the first time I heard him sing, but certainly as the band got more recognition and more fans, he felt more comfortable about going his own way.
I was listening to a lot of demos recently from that period, and Liam his singing's really gentle. It's not at all what it's like, but he developed fast as well. But he started off and he was almost angelic at times.
He can put nuances in another way, Live Forever is such a classic example of him just doing a straightforward ballad in quite a touching way.
I've never held a microphone in my entire life. It feels weird. It doesn't feel comfortable. I've always either leaned on it or my hands behind my back. And the reason I do that is because I get more power out of the singing. If I held it like that, I'd feel like a bit of a fucking... I don't know, a bit weird.
I think he's always had it sort of just slouching and looking up and the way he does, yeah.
Again, that immediately struck me from the outset. Well, the reason he's not moving is because he doesn't have to, or he believes he doesn't have to. The way that he's singing is so physical. You know, he's just wrenching this sound out from his throat.
It's just like holding notes, you know, on certain things. I don't like to go, is it my imagination? It's to me boring, you know.
We were doing a radio session up in Manchester, and we were doing cigarettes and alcohol. It went out live on the radio thing, and he done the sunshine bit for the first time. And when we heard it back, he went, he didn't like it at first, and he was sort of, I don't know about that. And it seemed like within seconds, McGee was on the phone, and he went, "Where did the sunshine bit come from?" And I went, "I don't know." He went, "Tell me, keep it. It's fucking great." And of course now he's fucking does it on everything. Oh yeah.
Even when he's talking to you.
Yeah. We're going out for a pint.
I think he's a pretty unique singer, really, in rock and roll terms.
You know, he was one of the rock voices of the last sort of 10, 20 years.
He has no fear. If he's got to go from this note to that note, he'll go from this note to that note.
It's the sign of a great album when it's got an album track that wasn't a single that everyone goes on about. That's like, you've always got to have one of them for the fans.
Apparently they've done it. I don't know whether that was part of the album sessions, but I've heard that that was the vocal, and they had to kind of build stuff around it. Or, you know, when you're trying to get a track right, it was like, well, that's a keeper, you know, and it is. It's amazing.
The Slide Away was written whilst they were doing the album sessions, so the first time I heard it was when they were well into recording Definitely Maybe.
I'd been on tour, and we'd actually phoned Johnny Marr and asked him, could we borrow some of his guitars, because we didn't have that many. And he sends down this Les Paul, and I swear to you, I took it out of the fucking case, and I had a bedroom above one of the live rooms, and it turned up in the morning, and I took it to my bedroom. I picked it out of the case and I sat down, and the fucking song wrote itself.
Best ever vocal delivery, I think, that Liam's ever got in his life.
Fantastic vocal.
It's amazing. Like, means it.
It's a good tune, man. I like singing it, you know.
I've heard that they did, was it Married with Children? On Coyley's bed, in his bedroom, you know.
Well, the equipment was appalling, wasn't it? You know,
it wasn't even a 4
out
track.
of 8 tracks, you know, 3 weren't working. It was, you know, it was that time to settle.
There's no need for you to say you're sorry. Goodbye, I'm going home.
I think the whole vibe of the song would have been lost if you tried to recreate it in a posh 24-track studio. You know, the whole spirit of the song.
It works. And when it works, it's charming, and when it's charming, it goes on the record. You know?
If it's about anything, it's about your girlfriend. Not mine, but, you know, it's about people's girlfriends.
But just the sound that he got out of that guitar, it's like, well, what's that? What's the guitar you're playing? What's the acoustic?
The guitar that's actually played on, the Gretsch Country Gent, actually is a Stone Roses guitar. It used to belong, it's John's Country Gent that was round at your house.
Hey, it's great how they got this really dry sound. It's probably because he's got a fluffy duvet or something, you know.
Because Liam was on he was on the turn with his vocal at that point as well, with you saying it's quite a sweet vocal. Well, he used to have a really sweet voice.
I remember everyone downstairs playing Frustration, and we were going up the stairs to record this song, and we sat on his bed and recorded it. Done pretty quick. Took us about half an hour.
And it will be nice.
And it's great to have something on the album that is a link between when they were demoing with Coyley and the finished album.
Genuinely believe that people would buy it, but not on the scale that it did. I mean, that just went beyond me.
If you know you've got certain songs that you can hear your mum singing before they've even started for a rock and roll band. Then you know you're on a winner.
The only band, I think, who were comparable to Oasis, and obviously comparisons have been made quite a lot with Sex Pistols, but Sex Pistols didn't have songs that were as good as Oasis.
Definitely Maybe came around 94, 95. I went, wake up, the decade's on.
I think we stole the crown that the Stone Roses left up there for grabs as such.
We seem to catch the mood of the mid-90s, you know, between 93 to 98.
I'd say Definitely Maybe and Nevermind by Nirvana were the two most important albums of the 90s in terms of what they achieved and who they inspired and what they were about, what it said.
It's probably the best debut album then, isn't it, really? Or in my book. And I'm not biased.
Young people were going out and getting into clothes and buying records and going to gigs again. The live music thing fucking went through the roof in the 90s, you know?
All of a sudden, our office got deluged with demo tapes, guitar band demo tapes from all over the world, you know. So that was one way of judging the influence it had.
I think it's just a great album all in all. It is gone down in history, really, isn't it?
It's timeless. You know, any piece of good art is timeless, and I think that album will always stand.
It was all great, you know, even though my own band at the time, the Stone Roses, by the way, lest we forget, was going shit, you know, and there was a lot of trouble and all that. But every time we made up with the Oasis lot, then it was just fucking game on, you know what I mean? And having it large, and very large.
The album's like fucking very abrasive, and it's not even well produced. Do you know what I mean? But the normal fucking 9 to 5, all the people who fucking pay taxes, they're not asked about the production, are they? Really? It's the sentiments and the melody of the song.
There isn't one track on there that, you know, that I want to sort of, you know, forward and get on to the next one.
Without Definitely Maybe, without those first Oasis records, then I think it's safe to say that which became known as Britpop, it wouldn't have happened in the way that everybody understands it now.
It was a really punk rock record. I mean, it's by far, I think, the best Oasis record, and I think probably the band probably would agree with that as well.
I don't think it was that good anyway. I think it was all right.
You know when you plug your guitar in, right, and you go, fucking hell, make a load of noise. It is that simple, isn't it? It really is that simple. 3 chords. Rock and roll. Tell a million people, oh, fuck off, yeah, this is all right, isn't it? You know what I mean? But imagine if it's not. Hence, Definitely Maybe.
Yeah, no, I love it, you know. And not only musically, because for what it meant to people and what it still means to people.
It's just rock and roll is the line, I think, that maybe is what the album's about. It is just rock and roll, but that just is an enormous, enormous just.